this year.
Okay, I think we're live. We are live. My browser just crashed, so I think we're actually live now. Hopefully, I won't crash again. Hello, Tony. How are you?
I'm outstanding. If I was any better, I would be John Lavenia.
There we go. There we go. And you're hearing me okay? So the browser is running.
Yes.
Okay, great. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the event where we answer your questions. I almost feel like that's a Hans and Franz thing. We're going to pump you up. What do you think, Tony? Who's Hans and who's Franz?
Hans and Franz.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, the purpose of this event that we're doing here, this live broadcast, is to answer your questions. You, meaning you, the viewer, the person who's watching us right now. And we have typically hundreds and sometimes thousands of people that join us on this. So if you're here now seeing this live at 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. time on, what day is it, Wednesday, the 14th of May, then we welcome you here in person. If you're watching this on a replay at a time other than the one I just mentioned, please feel free to sit back, relax, and listen to us answer some of the questions. Some of these questions are repetitive. We get some of the same questions from different people, and hopefully your question will be in there as well. But I got a bunch of questions, Tony, and we're going to – here's the thing. Everybody's in for a treat tonight for two reasons. Number one is because we're not going to talk from just theory and, you know, empty platitudes and hopefulness. Okay, Tony and I both have had an abnormal amount of success in the home business world, online and offline. Okay, in the top 1% or 1/10 of 1%. I'm not a statistics guy, but you get the point. Is that we're going to speak to you from experience, and it's been successful experience. You know, I've heard that there's 3 kinds of advice that you can get on any topic. Okay, the first kind is people that know about something. They've got academic knowledge. They've read the books, or they heard some professor or somebody else talk about something, so they know about something. That's one kind of advice, academic advice. The second kind of advice is from people who have enough experience with something to have failed at it. Typically, the advice you're going to get is how wrong something is and how critical they are about that thing because they failed at it. That's the second kind of advice you can get, is advice from people who have failed at something. So the first kind is people who know about something. The second kind is from people who know how to fail at something. And the third kind of advice, which is really the only advice that I'm interested in and that you should be interested in, is advice from people who know enough about something to have experienced success with it. So that's the kind of advice that you're in for a real treat tonight. The second reason you're in for a treat is because Tony and I both, we've known each other for over a decade. I love this guy. He's like the brother from the South, the Southeast. I'm over here in the West. He's in the East. And both of us have a serious, chronic, and acute aversion to bullshit. So we like to just like get down to the point, tell it like it is. So if you're cool with that, right? Like we're not major entertainers, although Tony can tickle the ivories pretty well. That means play the piano. And I can play some guitar, but I don't think you'd want to hear that. It's all heavy metal stuff. But the point is that we're about results. We're about results, and as much as we have different about us, we got one major thing in common, is that we put results above everything else. Your results, that's what we want. Because look, the businesses that we work with, we like leverage, right? Any business that you're going to have, leverage and basically get paid for more than just the hours that you put in, right? That's a smart thing to do. That's what smart business people do. That leverage comes from people working in cooperation and are also getting results, right? Not just trying to sit around figuring out, you know, what to do and I'm confused and all that. We like not confused. We like certainty. We like confidence, and we want to enhance your confidence in your own ability to get what you want, which is probably why you got an invitation to come here in the first place, is because you're on our lists and you're interested in things like, you know, success and personal achievement and all those weird things like that, not so much about the entertainment. I guarantee you there are more entertaining things on YouTube right now than what you're about to get here, but not more profitable ones. We're going to show you how to make some money. Tony, opening commentary from you, sir.
You know what? I think the part I liked most, you hit on several things there. I'm nodding along, inwardly nodding along as I'm compiling some of the questions coming in here. Love the comment, severe allergy to bullshit. Love it. And here's the reason why, obviously, is self-explanatory. I think here's where I was. When I first got into this industry, this profession, and some of you guys watching this may be able to relate to this. my whole mindset was focused on this one phrase: just shoot it to me straight. Just tell me how it is. Please, it's only my life at stake here. I'm married. I've got kids. I've got bills. I'm desperately trying to get out of what I'm into. Please just shoot it to me straight. And I think we can all relate. We may not always enjoy straight talk because sometimes it puts the accountability and the spotlight on us. But I think we can all appreciate it. Nobody wants to walk around being wrong. Nobody wants to walk around under an illusion. And John and I have been, unfortunately, at various times in our career, we have been at the effect of somebody else's BS, somebody else's ignorance, somebody else's lack of communication skill to adequately explain to us, here's what you need to do, here's how you need to do it, here's what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. And when I finally got around, I would have gnawed my left hand off at the wrist to have been able to come to a webinar like this when I was first getting started. And take me out of the equation. Say it's just John hosting tonight. I would have given anything. As a matter of fact, I told my wife Jessica, here's my wife Jessica right here. Actually, she's sitting a little off camera tonight.
There she is. Your better half.
Jessica can tell you, I had said before, if I could just get somebody ultra successful to just answer a couple questions for me, my goodness, it would take years off my learning curve. And so, anyway, that was sort of the catalyst for tonight's conversation. Rather than, provide you with a monologue or a particular topic, we wanted you guys to create the conversation tonight, which many of you have done. If you have not yet submitted your question, you're welcome to submit one. You can type it in the chat roll down below this video. It's probably just as easy for me and John and Jessica to see them, and we promise to get to it. But yeah, so you guys have created tonight's content by submitting questions. We're going to do our best to cover all of them. We're going to do our best to cover them as efficiently as we can so we don't get too bogged down on any one topic. And we'd love to have your full attention for the next 45 minutes or so, because something is certain to be said or explained that will assist you no matter what business you're in. I don't care if you're in Herbalife or Melaleuca or Shackley or Empower Network or Prepaid Legal, or if you're doing Mary Kay and Avon and home interiors and Tupperware. Doesn't matter. If you're in any type of a home business, I promise you that some question that we're going to cover in the next 45 minutes, it'll give you an answer you can stick in your pocket and put to use tomorrow and get better results. So hang in there with us. Grab a favorite beverage. If you have a question that we don't cover, please right now go ahead and type them in. That way we can get them on the list here before we jump into it. So you know what? As a matter of fact, John, you want to just alternate these things?
I'll do that.
You got questions and I got questions. I don't know your questions and you don't know mine.
No, it's so raw.
You want me let me ask you the ones on my list that I've seen. And I'll say this too. I don't feel obligated to answer anything that John has answered. If his answer sparks a little comment, I might add a little piece of commentary. But if John's answer is something I can just co-sign, I don't feel obligated to answer every question. So,
yeah, you know what? I'll go with that. I'll go with that program too, because we want to get everybody's questions answered tonight. And at the final piece of our preamble, Tony, we would be remiss if we didn't say, hey, we may be talking about money tonight. In fact, if you're looking at Empower Network, which is the primary program that we operate with, as a vehicle to monetize your whole home business experience, there's a button down below. Whoever invited you here can also give you a seat in the team. Okay, now you can get started for $25. That's fine, whatever. But as we talk about money, understand that our results are not your results. Okay, your results are not our results. It's not guaranteed, typical, average. All the things that the lottery mentality people, are constantly confused by. Oh, I thought there was a promise of income. Okay, so here's the thing. Any legitimate business requires effort and thought and your own due diligence. And part of that due diligence is hopefully listening to people who have succeeded and who are going to give you some solid, straight up advice, like we're going to tonight. But that being said, income disclosure is down below if you're interested in what average people do and average earnings and all the average stuff that's required by the Federal Trade Commission and every other three-letter agency who regulates the universe. So
Well, they
Tony,
regulate the average.
yeah,
They take care of the average.
that enforces averages. Okay, great. So now that we're done being average, let's be extraordinary. Tony, did you want to start with the first question? We're going to
I
alternate.
do. John, let's see here. You know what? I'm just going to grab one out of the hat. Okay. How would you explain to a newbie how their passion can make them money online? That is from Rich Waite. That's the full question, no context or anything, so I don't exactly.
That's a great question, Rich. So a newbie online using their passion to make money. Okay, so that's a few different pieces. Newbie meaning doesn't have a big list, doesn't have a lot of influence in the online marketplace. We all started that way, so I can relate to that. Online, well, we're online right now, so I can relate to that. At one point I wasn't, so I got online. Making money online is the end result. Well, I'm doing that. I used to not do it. Now I am doing it. Now using the passion, I think that's right there is the variable. Okay, so we've all got those things in common so far, Rich, except the passion. What is your passion? I don't know. I've got some passions, plural. I've got some multiple passions, okay? One of them is, I think a lot of people know, is I'm into personal growth philosophy and self-help or psychology and stuff like that. I read books. I write books. I listen, I speak, right? So I'm into communications and training and stuff like that. That's one passion I could use to make money online. I've got other passions that don't seem to correlate as well to that, like I ride a Harley Davidson. Okay, so that's cool. I'm a biker. Maybe the freedom lifestyle, right? I haven't gone in that direction yet, but I certainly could. I've got a passion about, I've got certain political views. I can correlate that into like a make money online opportunity. Music, right? I've got a variety of passions. Finding the bridge between the passion and the message, okay, is I think the most necessary thing for anyone to gain traction. Let's say you're a newbie, okay, fine. A newbie just means that in terms of online, okay, because you didn't just show up on the planet, you know other people. So here's what I did. Knowing that I've been on the planet for 40 plus years, and I know other humans, right? And I'm new to the online marketing thing, but I want to get traction, I want to get sales, and I'm passionate. One of my passions is success, right? We already know I'm into like success philosophy and stuff like that. So why don't I couple those two and produce some of my own content? In fact, this is exactly what I did. Tony remembers this. The video, you can Google it. It's called The Revelation, John Lavenia Revelation. I had a revelation. I found this great thing, this great opportunity, and I was just filming myself with my iPhone while I was walking my dog, talking about this thing that I was suddenly passionate about. You just got to take a look. Just click the link below the video. Boom, had 12 sales my first week, was in profit my first week. So that was conveying some passion, some knowingness to whatever public would listen to me, which is mostly offline people who had, I had their email addresses at least. They would open my email, and there were some sales. So don't feel like you're that much of a newbie that you've got no one to communicate with. The way to get traction is to match the message with the market. The market is your public, your audience, whoever that is. Could be 100 people, could be 10 people, could be 10 million. Okay? Match the message to the market. Do that with passion. Whatever your passion is, you already speak that market's language. In my case, the market that I was talking to were people who knew me or knew of me as a person who was into my personal growth stuff and the things that I have done for years and years. So again, I didn't just show up here. You didn't just show up here either. Now, expanding that market is what marketing is all about, right? So semi-long answer, Tony, I think I've answered it. But there's always a bridge. Short answer, there's always a bridge, right? And what is sales? A transfer of enthusiasm. You're excited, now they're excited, and they buy, right? And that's it. You bought, right? So somebody transferred some enthusiasm to you. That's it. That's all sales is. Tony?
The only thing I would add to that is, if you can't, your passion will make you money, can make you money directly or indirectly. Some people say, well, I want to paint. I want to be an artist. And so they take their art to the internet, and they literally and directly make money online with their art. I, for instance, love music. I haven't necessarily figured out how to directly make money online with my music. So what I get to do is I get to do it indirectly. I am engaged in a home business that allows me to make thousands and thousands of dollars a week. And now I can take the money that I earn from my business and go apply it to my passion. so I don't have to go to a job. So I've got plenty of time to sit and make music. I don't have to make do or settle with inferior musical instruments and equipment. I make enough money to go get the piano I want, or go get the bass guitar that I want, or whatever, right? So same thing with anything. So passion is where it's at. I would say, some people just can't be bothered. You've got to have enough passion to get you out of the bed and get you moving every day. If you can figure out a way to make money directly with your passion, that's awesome. If you're like me, you may say, well, hey, I'm looking for a home business that will allow me to get time freedom and financial freedom, and then I'll take that and get to apply it to my passion. But other than that, I co-sign everything John said. Good question.
Here it is. That's
Thank
great.
you.
So using passion as a motivator just to get off your ass and do something. There's the short version of what Tony just said. I like that, Tony. I do that a lot. Good answer. All right, I'm going to give you 2 questions in a row because I think the first one's going to be ultra brief. And I'm not qualifying or pre-screening these questions. They just are what they are. These have come in the last hour or so. Prudence asks, how does it work for students? It meaning, I guess, what we do with online business. Tony, how does the whole online business thing work for students?
Oh, I wish I'd have had all this. I mean, I wish I'd have had these opportunities at my fingertips when I was, when I was a student. In terms of how does it work, it works the same for a student as it does anybody else. I'm not sure without some additional context what the actual question is. How does this work for students? There's no distinction whether you're working at a full-time job and you have to do this part-time, or whether you're going to college and you decide to do this part-time. It's arguable that a college student or an 18-year-old high school student has got wonderful and excellent reasons for why they should go ahead and be doing some type of a home business at an early age. College debt is the number one. We actually have more college debt in the United States today than we did consumer debt. We're over $1 trillion now for student loans. Student loans that cannot be discharged, cannot be gotten rid of through bankruptcy. It's staggering. It's an amazing problem, and there are literally thousands of people who are college students who are paying their way with money that they earn on the internet, and whatever they do with their degree when they get out, they will not be saddled with these massive student loans because they chose to do something with their spare time other than just go to frat parties and hang out. They decided to invest, hey, 90 minutes of my day after school, I'm going to go and work my business, and then I'll go hang out with my friends and have fun. But that 90 minutes is going to make it's the slight edge. It's the slight edge that's going to make a big difference. So that's my perspective on college.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm inferring that by student, I'm thinking younger person, maybe 20 years old or whatever. When's the best time to start building your list?
Man.
Right? So you don't show up here 10 years from now and say, hey, I'm a newbie.
What were you doing when you were 20, John?
What's that?
What were you doing when you were 20 years old?
I was a diesel engineer on a tugboat fleet in New York Harbor.
I was playing piano, going broke, trying to make a living playing piano 200 days a year for a gospel group. I would have loved to have had this, an automated online business that I could work an hour, 90 minutes a day while chasing my dream. Man, that'd been delicious. What was the second question?
Second question was from Bojana, or Bohana, B-O-J-A-N-A. Here's a person who's had an experience, obviously from another country. English is a little bit rough, but they were looking at home-based businesses and online stuff, and were asked that to give a Visa or MasterCard in order to receive their commissions from some company that they didn't get paid, or I'm not sure exactly what they're saying, but what do you think about this? I'll just paraphrase the question because the English is a little bit rough. What do you think about some of these online businesses that want you to give your financial details before you can earn commissions and stuff like that over the phone?
They want you to give financial information over the phone before you can make money. I would say, I would say put your hand over your wallet and back away. Run, don't walk, right? Now, and let me clarify that, because the fact that somebody wants you to give them information over the phone is where my suspicion is coming from there. And I'll give you an example. Empower Network, for instance, the way we get paid in our business is our commissions are paid into like a PayPal type system called e-wallet. Well, for me to get my money from e-wallet to my bank, yeah, I'm going to have to put in some banking information so that I can get my commissions transferred to me. But I'm not handing that information to some unknown person over the phone. I'm dealing with a very, very large company that handles millions of dollars a month in commission transfers. It's a reputable company. So there are situations where you do, or say getting started with Empower Network. It's $19.95 to be an affiliate. And you can't pay that with a check or a money order. That's paid online with a Visa, MasterCard, or a Discover. So it's not as though, if you want to do business on the internet, you're going to have a credit card. You're going to have some way of moving money around. That's required. The only caution I would offer you is that I can't think of any legitimate businesses today, an internet business, where you would ever need to actually speak to someone on the phone. An individual on the phone and say, yes, here's my bank information. I would be wary of that. I would make sure you proceed with some caution on that. Anything you want to add there, John?
No, there you go. If you look at your really new to online marketing and commerce, any online ordering you do, I guarantee you will see secure servers when you put your credit card details and stuff like that. And that's the same is true here and with any legitimate business. Just be careful with some of these unbelievable scam artists. So I don't even know how they do it. Anyway, Tony, you're up. What questions do we have?
Hey, I just wanted to share this with you. It's a pretty big deal at our house. I just found out that not only may I have won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I did get a letter today that said I may have won.
That's nice.
Pretty big deal. But also apparently there's a Nigerian prince that wants to send me $10 million if I would just send him my bank account information. So
yeah,
big day in the Rush household, I guess, right?
Right. They need to make a small deposit of like $10,000 into the bank in London, and then they can deliver the millions. So.
Are you reading my mail? How do you know?
Oh man, we've been through this so many times.
Oh, that's great.
I know a person who fell for that.
Oh, that's awful.
Like for real. I thought the person was going to never see the light of day again. They almost got kidnapped. They actually put the money up. They lost the money. It's like $10,000.
Awful. Oh. So the good news is scams are actually pretty easy to spot. Really, if you actually understand the difference between legitimate direct sales or legitimate affiliate marketing and what a scam is, scams really are really easy to avoid. I'm not saying it can't happen, but they're actually, people should not be as afraid. They just should educate themselves about what is the difference between a legitimate business and a pyramid scheme. And maybe if somebody wants to ask that question for clarity, we can answer that quickly. John, at the beginning or throughout the earlier grinding times, did you ever have to work at accepting your own personal image? Would you say that personal acceptance and how you valued yourself first was pivotal in the big leaps that you then made to move forward with your lead generation videos, capture pages, etc.? That's from John Paul. Talk about your personal image as it related to the lean years.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to get into much philosophy tonight, but I mean, John, that's right up my alley, that question. And the answer is yes. And do I still work on that? Yes. You ever see the movie Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. and Jack Black? And there's a scene in that movie. It's a funny movie. It's like a war movie spoof, okay? But it's a comedy. And there's one scene where they're all like having some serious self-doubts about who they are in their role. I'm the guy that's playing the other guy, and they're all actors trying to make this movie, and they all have serious self-worth issues, right? Which all comes out in this one scene. And the one rookie actor who's there in the room with all these guys that are bemoaning their own lack of self-confidence is like, I can't believe the self-image issues that you guys have, because these are all like the people he looks up to. He looks up to the rookie actor, looks up to these big stars. These guys are movie stars that are making this movie, and he was fortunate enough to have a spot with them. So that's funny, of course, to watch these guys enact this self-dramatization. But it's also instructive because a lot of times people look at successful people and say, well, they've got it all together, okay? And the reality of the situation is that we're all still working on ourselves. None of us have arrived, okay? We've all got issues that could increase or diminish our certainty and our confidence and what we actually produce in terms of our emails, our videos, and things like that. So in my first book, Integrity is Everything, Chapter 4 is called 3 Magic Words. It's about a sequence of words, 3 words, and the words are be, do, and have, in that order, okay? And what that means is that before we do the business, before we shoot the video, make the email, write our sales copy, before we do any of that, we've got to decide who we are. Am I the person who makes the big money? Am I the person who is victorious? Am I the person who has an easy flowing experience and confident and goal achiever and all that? Well, then great. Now that I'm that person, I feel the confidence and all that, then I go and I execute. Then I do. So being precedes doing. Okay. Now, if I'm not that, now if I'm anxious, I'm trying to get, and I'm worried and all this stuff, and I feel, like, oh, who am I to do this? Who am I to lead others and to sell? And if I got any issues like worthiness or any kind of stuff like that, I dare not execute. Okay. I got to get okay with who I am first. Okay. And every day in our society, every day, there's countless influences that could diminish our self-image. Okay, so we've got to, as Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich, we've got to close our minds tightly to negativity. Close our minds to that stuff. That's the work, actually. That's the work. All the logistics, right, which is like, how do we write the emails or set up our autoresponders and stuff like that? That's not that. I mean, you could ultimately train a monkey to do that stuff, okay? And yes, there's a learning curve, and everybody's got to learn the logistics. But who's doing it? Who's doing it is the much bigger question than what do I do, okay? Because after all, let's say right here with our team, the Extreme Team and Power Network, we mentioned average earnings disclosure before. Why is it that we could all have the same product, same income vehicle, same sales video, same friggin' everything, and have vastly different results? Success is an individual pursuit, okay? And I know the collectivists don't like to hear that, but that's the reality of the situation. The reality is success is based on you. Who's doing it? That's the question. So yeah, get cool with you. Read as many self-help books as you have to. Do whatever it takes to empower yourself so that when you open your mouth, something of worth comes out that communicates to your ideal audience that, yes, this is a person who's going somewhere, which is the only reason that they should follow you in the first place. I mean, after all, if you're not confident that you're going somewhere in life, why would anybody buy your stuff or follow you anywhere? Just some logic, right? So you got to know where you're going. That induces confidence. That makes you worthy to lead. So, Tony, there's my answer on that.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, here's a quote. I know you collect quotes like I do. This is a quote from Robert Hughes, who was an Australian guy. His quote, I never heard it before, and I read it this week, and I looked it up while you were talking. The greater the artist, the greater the doubt. Perfect confidence is granted to the less talented as a consolation prize. Perfect confidence is a consolation prize for the less talented. The greater the artist, the greater the doubt.
Wow.
That's actually, and you bring up a good point, though, because I think also, was it Mark Twain who said, never meet your heroes. It's dangerous to meet your heroes. And I've had the good fortune to meet a couple of my heroes, and maybe I got lucky because it didn't affect my feelings about them, but I've heard stories of people who, you get around somebody that you think is just a genius, and you find out that they are mortal, They are not up on some pedestal, and they experience every bit of self-doubt, self-esteem issues. Am I good enough? You know, all of that stuff. So,
Mm.
yeah, I love your solution, though. All of that is countered by just getting clear about who you are as a person, as a human being, and understanding that you deserve as much success as anybody does, and can get it to the extent that you're willing to step up and be personally responsible for the amount of value that you put out. So that's awesome stuff, man. We could,
Thank you.
you and I could do a whole
It's
training.
uninhibited. You know, I mean, who's going to gain traction in the marketplace that's screaming for their attention if they're just, you know, I don't want to rock the boat too much. I mean, you got to have a good amount of balls to do something bold, something that at least makes people take note.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you're vanilla, you're ignored, right? So that requires that you build yourself up a bit, I think.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of cockiness, a little bit of confidence in what you're about. It goes a long way.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you. Sharon asks, how does one qualify for a business loan with an MLM type of business? Who will loan money to this type of business?
Well, the good news is that in this type of business, you don't actually have to go through normal channels to borrow money. Hang on a second, I got to get a sip out of my magic.
Oh,
Here.
That's the magic elixir.
Yes, this is the elixir. Everybody wants to know what's in the cup. I'll never tell. No, here's the cool thing is network marketing. Low, almost like non-significant investment of money. Business loans, I mean, and here's the thing, we get so wrapped up sometimes in the home business industry that sometimes we take for granted how good we have it. John, he can share this if he wants to go into detail about it, but, you know, John's done the deal where he invested thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in a tool truck. We have a mutual friend, John and I do, from Canada, who had a Quiznos, paid $250,000 or borrowed $250,000 to start a Quiznos where he could go in every day and slice tomatoes behind the counter and ask if people, you know, if they wanted their bread toasted or not. My brother-in-law runs what has been the most profitable freestanding Chick-fil-A drive-through for years. The amount of money that people spend to start most businesses is staggering. Some of these companies, you don't even come talk to us unless you can show that you've got $1 million cash in an account and the wherewithal to go get X amount of real estate on a prime location. You know, so don't take this for granted either. This is real. But most people who want to start a business, they need tens of thousands of dollars. And so banks and lending is set up to assist those people. The beautiful thing about most home businesses is that for less than a couple $100, you're in a cash position where you can actually make money. Whether you're in the nutritional space, the weight loss, the legal space, meal replacement shakes, you name it, water filters. I mean, there's John and I have done home-based businesses where it costs $20,000 to $30,000 to get fully positioned in that company. So, you know, if you're looking for that kind of financing, to be honest with you, I haven't been in that space in so long, I wouldn't know where to tell you to go. Because it's not like it was in 2005 where anybody could go to CapitalOne.com and get a couple $1,000s on a credit card. You know, that ship has sailed. In today's marketplace and today's economy, the beautiful thing is you can start a business for a few $100s, less than $2,000, and absolutely create positive cash flow of a sizable amount within your first 30 days. Take Empower Network as an example. I think if you bought every single thing that we sell, it's what, $5,000, $6,000. That's not really the kind of thing you need to go into a bank and get all kinds of lending for. A lot of people just get started at level 2 or level 3. You know, maybe they've got $1,000 or a couple $1,000 invested. Not invested is not the correct word, but you understand my meaning. And they just work the business and create cash flow. They've got positive cash flow coming in. getting paid every Friday with recurring residual passive commissions. And they get to skip the whole hassle of, mortgaging their house and going to Aunt Betty and asking her to cash in her 401k and give you $100,000 so you can go open a sandwich shop or a dry cleaner. So for the most part, the nice thing about network marketing today is that you just don't have to fool with lending or loans and that sort of thing. Anybody who's serious can get started, and most businesses have a option available where even a single mom on welfare could come in, like even in Power Network. Worst case scenario, if somebody's got $50, they can come in here and actually just start making 100% commissions day one. So hopefully you'll find an answer in there somewhere. And in most cases, when I do get that question occasionally, it's usually from someone who either A, thinks that this business is more expensive than it actually is, or B, they're just accustomed to thinking that all businesses cost a lot of money, so naturally this one must too. So good news here is you don't have to fool with most of that. Okay? John, feel free to add anything to that.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Let me see here. Hey, John, I'm going to throw you another philosophy question.
Oh, God, thank you.
Yeah, you love it. Robin was on the wake-up call this morning. I don't know if you were on the call, John. We talked about the prosperity exercise that I taught about in Seattle a few weeks back.
Yes, and I participated.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, I spent my $100 today.
Good. So Robin's question was, I was wondering if there was some technique that you used to snap you out of a bad pattern of thinking once you started to realize it. A big part of success is changing your existing thinking and trading it in for better thinking. But I've heard you say it before, it's some of the hardest work you'll actually do because it's all mental, and in some ways we're battling against decades of negative habitual thinking. So how do you snap out of bad patterns of thinking once you realize you're engaged in them?
Yeah, well, there's an exercise you can do, which is essentially just creating contrast between the habitual chronic negative thought and whatever the opposite of that would be. And like one that I struggled with for a while was I don't have enough time, which is a very general blanket and self-diminishing statement. I don't have enough time. Well, I got the same amount of time as the richest guy in the world. He's also got 24 hours, right? So rather than bemoaning that I feel like I'm too busy or something, well, what would be the opposite of that? Well, the opposite of that is I have plenty of time. I can accomplish anything, right? So that would be the opposite. So I just started through the process of autosuggestion, which is like an affirmation, okay? It's just an idea that you repeat to yourself when you recognize here's the negative thought. Well, great. Congratulations for recognizing it. What would the opposite of that be? And then maybe even write it down on a little card, right? You've heard, maybe, Robin, you've heard of goal cards, right? So here's my goal card, and on it is my goal. And on the other side are some inspirational quotes that I like to remind myself of. And so that's just an auto-suggestion principle in action. And that will actually start to shape new beliefs for you. And yeah, this is not easy work. A lot of times people think self-help and personal growth is like woo-woo, new age, like we're going to sit around and tiptoe through the tulips or something. No, it's hardcore, changing, self-limiting patterns and stuff like that. Man, that's work. Okay, it's the hardest work there is, as Henry Ford said. But it's so worth it, Now, when I remember to do that, then my stats are on the rise, right? When I succumb to the negative thinking, because like Tony mentioned before, we're all still, none of us have arrived, right? We're all still students and don't meet your heroes, right? I can fall into that as well, So that's all. It's about constant vigilance. In other words, being on guard against the negative thinking, like Napoleon Hill said, shut yourself off to negative thinking. And the way to induce faith, again, according to Dr. Hill, is through the principle of autosuggestion, faith in your ability, faith in your ability to accomplish things. So
let me throw in a part B then, because we just had a question from Tamara that I think dovetails nicely. You've kind of started already answering it, so I thought maybe if you want to expand on it, you could probably knock out a second question. Tamara has asked, if somebody's been doing this for a while, a home business of some kind, and obviously they haven't had the big breakthrough yet. How do you handle the obstacle of dealing with people when you haven't had the success yet, and you've been in a while doing the work, and yet it's obviously a limited self-belief or something like that? So the question seems to have something to do with how do you deal with people, but it's also somebody who knows they're having some limiting beliefs. Maybe you can find the question in that.
Well, I would say, just based on the context of how you just asked it, I would say market to more people, different people, choose a better target audience. I mean, your broke and ignorant but well-meaning friends, family, and neighbors may not be your target audience. Okay, some of them may be. Most of them probably aren't if you just look at statistics, you know. And if that was not the case, you'd probably already have a thriving, successful organization, right? Because you'd be surrounded by people who are sympathetic with your purposes. We're all progressive thinkers, and we're all going to take action and be entrepreneurial and never poo-poo or naysay or second guess, right? And so that's not reality, though, for the vast majority of people. And so I would say beef up your marketing. And you know, be careful who you listen to, which is again why I think what we do here is so valuable. Not to say, oh, look at how great we are, we're providing all this wonderful value for free. I'm just saying this is necessary to counter the negative influences that are so ubiquitous. I mean, everywhere you look, right? There's people being cowed under by their their peers. So there's what I would say for Tamara.
Perfect. Great answer. And you get bonus points for using the word ubiquitous. Just say it.
Ubiquitous.
What a great word.
Go look that one up, everybody.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I'm using big words tonight. Ubiquitous. So Chris asks, I want to put in 110% and not decide on a dollar amount for a goal. So he wants to put in 110% and not decide on a dollar amount for a goal. Okay, well, I'm going to stop right there. Let's be specific. You want to put in 100%, you damn well better pick a dollar amount for a goal. Confucius said, man who shoots at nothing is sure to hit it. Okay, and there is no 110%. So let's be specific. I need to know how to make this possible as I transition from the day job to working from myself. I think he means for myself. If you guys could elaborate on that, I would greatly appreciate it. So without the goal, we don't know how to transition out of the day job. Like, how much are we making at the day job? Is it 50 grand a year? Is it 100 grand a year? I don't know. So we do have to pick a goal. Having said that, Tony, let's assume that Chris is making, what's the average American income? 40 grand, 35 grand? So let's say 40 grand a year. Okay, how do we put in 100% and transition out of the day job, essentially replacing or exceeding that income as quickly as possible whilst still working the day job?
Okay, so I can only answer that from the business that we're in. We're in Empower Network. You know, every company would have some, depending on how specific you want the answer to be, Chris, every company would give you a different answer. You need to be at a platinum level in that company. So I'm assuming you're talking about Empower Network. So first thing is I co-sign what John said. It is a nice sentiment to say, hey, I'm going to give 110%. The reality is we can give 100%. You know, and even that is usually a bigger task than most people realize, because you got a family, you got kids, you know, you got other demands on your time. So you've got a certain amount of time every day where you're saying, I will give everything. Now, let's quantify a couple of things. Second thing John mentioned is you have to have a goal. I do understand why people say that. They're like, well, I don't want to put a limit on my income. It's not, goal setting is not about setting a limit on your income. It's about just giving you something to aim for. Because if you don't know what you're aiming for, how will you know if you hit it? So if your goal, and you should have different size goals. If your goal is to replace your income, that means you need to make, say, $40,000 in the first year. There's your goal. The nice thing is you start whittling that back and you say, okay, well, I want to make X amount in 6 months, X amount in 90 days, X amount in the next 30 days. Now you can see the evolution of a plan. You can actually take this goal and break it down into bite-sized chunks so that it doesn't look insurmountable. Perhaps you have a six-figure income that you need to replace. Well, if you thought you had to actually go make $8,000 your first 30 days, that may be daunting to some people, even though others have done it. But when you realize how this whole thing starts to scale up on its own, you know, if you just focus on getting a couple people in a day at the basic $25 level, and if you're all in, meaning you're qualified to earn on every single product that Empower Network offers, that would be the position you need to be in. Is A, focusing on getting at least 2 basic sales a day, and then B, being all in, fully qualified to earn everything. And then let's define the 100% commitment. Well, part of that is the all in. Because I've heard people say, well, Tony, I'll give it 100%, and then I talk to them about why they're only positioned at the basic level, and they say, well, I can't afford it. I can't afford to get my inner circle. And all of a sudden I've got this contradiction in my head, because I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute, I thought you said you were 100% committed. I thought you said you were going to give it 100%. Well, I am, but I can't do that. It's like, okay, well, it's almost as though the person is saying, I'm 100% committed unless I run into an obstacle, or I'm 100% committed unless I run into adversity, I'm 100% committed unless I have to get out of my comfort zone, or I'm 100% committed unless I run into resistance from my spouse or my brother-in-law. You know, so we have to really get honest about this. You know, and I don't know you personally, as far as I know, and I don't know your situation. So what I'm telling you here is very general in nature. I'm just saying, set a goal. You have to set a goal. It's quite possible for somebody to run up and down the field for a whole year and never cross the goal line. You got to have a goal. You got to know what you're aiming for. Mark out what time you're going to work. Okay. The nice thing about what we do for a living here on Internet Marketing and Empower Network is there's not a lot of stuff that you have to actually do daily. A blog post, a video, write an email to your list. There's a sheet in the Extreme Team Facebook group. If you hit the Files section, there's like a worksheet back there. I can't remember the name of it, but it looks like a bingo. It kind of looks a little bit like a bingo card. It's a grid, and basically what you do is you select, here's the list of income-producing activities that you need to do. You need to pick any 3 of them today, and then there's like each one has a quota. You need to do this one at least 3 times a week. You need to do this one at least 5 times a week. But any day you can pick and say, okay, I want to do this one, and this one. And we've got it ironed out in a way that for most people they can accomplish those 3 things in 90 minutes or less. So to put a summary on it, if you're full-time at a job with a family, the good news is working this business and getting your income replaced will probably not take you more than 90 minutes a day consistently. However, you do have to give 100% in terms of your emotional commitment, your financial commitment, and your time commitment. If you'll do those 3 things and actually do what we teach you here, there's no reason in the world why you can't replace your income pretty quickly.
Good answer. Thank you, Tony. Chris, hope that helped you. All right, I guess I'm up. What's the question?
You're up, John. All right, so what are your thoughts on phone prospecting in Empower Network in the beginning to get started faster while you're learning the online strategies? That is from TD19.
Okay, TD, I would say do whatever you got to do in the beginning. Here's how I started, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was in rough shape when I showed up here. A lot of people know I had made millions. Some people know I had lost millions, so I was starting over, right? And so I sent out videos, like I had already mentioned towards the beginning of our broadcast here, and since it seemed to be a nice, easy flowing experience for me to shoot a video while walking my dog, I decided, well, why don't I follow up with some phone calls while walking my dog? So I was flipping through my iPhone, and I haven't talked to this guy in a couple of years. Press send, and next thing you know, I'm talking to a guy I haven't talked to in a couple of years. And, hey, what do you know about Empower? Oh, yeah, that's that thing. Okay, great. And I'm making sales, talking on the phone, right? So that can work. Okay, now that's, again, with people who I'm already in communication with. As far as, like, old school prospecting, like we capture name and phone number and email address or whatever the capture form is. We're capturing the lead's information, and now we're calling them on the phone. and saying, hey, this is so-and-so, you contacted me about the business, did I catch you at a good time, blah, 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 right? I mean, I did that for almost 8 years, and I made millions doing it. It can work, but it's laborious, and it sets a precedent. Okay, if that's what that person had to do to get me in, well, then that's what I have to do to get them in. Now we're not even doing internet marketing anymore, and we're limiting what people are willing to do. See, people will resist joining something if they think they got to do what you did, and what you did was unpleasant. Even though we know, okay, or smart people know, that successful people are willing to do what most people aren't willing to do. Okay, you see somebody who plays the piano, amazing talent, right? Well, they were willing to practice hours and hours every day. Most people aren't willing to do that. Okay, so it's called paying the price. But when we're talking about marketing, quite often people are sold by the idea of ease of use, comfort, right, convenience, things like that. And the direction we're going in with this is that more people can do it. Even people who couldn't have a phone conversation if their life depended on it, right? More and more people can do it. We want to make this more accessible. So while I'm all for sales, whatever you got to do, sell it. Okay, if you know it's good, you damn well better sell it. Okay, fine. But at the same time, are you looking to set that precedent? Maybe at first, maybe not. I mean, if it's people that you know, and it's like, hey, I don't typically talk to people on the phone. I just wanted to catch up with you. You know, whatever, this whole business is home-based, online, do whatever you want. So I've got kind of mixed feelings about that, Tony. I don't know if I directly answered their question, but I would say subordinate convenience to whatever you got to do to get the job done. Just know that what you're doing, people are watching. Okay? So
I would agree. I would say there very quickly reach a point in your business where getting on the phone and talking to leads is actually a waste of time, because that's phone. If you want to be on the phone, you can actually spend your time talking to team members or new members who just got started. If you want to be on the phone, this is very controversial what John's just said, because haven't we all been in a home business where we were told that you got to prospect, you got to call people, and we try to pick our language pretty carefully here, because we would never want to tell you don't do it, thou shalt not. Because what if that's the best way for a particular individual to get their business off the ground in the early days quickly, and they're in a money crunch and they need to make something happen? I would never want to lessen somebody's opportunity by telling them, no, you can't do that. I think what John said really squares it. I think most people don't say no because most people don't say no to somebody because they don't want the money or the time. They say no because they can't see themselves doing what they see you having to do to get them into business. So, like, I could drive over to a friend's house and do a 1-hour presentation in his living room, and it might even work. I might even get Dan to sign up with me. But what I've really done is tell Dan that in order to make money, you've got to be willing to drive across town and do living room presentations with your warm market. So I'm a big proponent of work in a way that your process never keeps somebody else from wanting to say yes. So
beautifully said.
Great answer, John.
Okay, so I got a couple here.
We're in the home stretch.
Okay. Sue's talking about she's having a problem with her computer. She needs to maybe borrow a laptop. Sue, welcome in advance once you get your technology all straight. And Sue's down under. So welcome from down under. Gary says no questions, but keep it up. The wonderful job you're doing, John. Multiple blessings to you and Shannon, and I'll include Tony in that too. Gary, thank you for the well wishes. Ron has one question. What do I do to get started? Buy from list of potentials. I think he means buy leads. Buy some co-ops. So now he is talking about marketing here. Okay, because I run a co-op for anybody who doesn't know. We pool our money together. We get great wholesale prices on buying traffic and leads and stuff like that. Just keep posting on the blog and hope. And hope, is that the way to get started? That is my one question. First step to lift the balloon off the ground? Question mark, question mark. It almost sounds like, what's the one thing, Tony? You know when we get that question? What's the one thing?
Well, Ron, you've actually got you do all that stuff. You do everything. You do everything that pops in your head. This is a great question. So let me answer it in an odd way, because I'm odd, and I like to answer things in an odd way. John's a musician, and I'm a musician. And one of the things that musicians talk about when we get around each other is improvisation. It's interesting because it's also something that is a really, really important part of business. And John, I never hear anybody teach or train on this, but like musicians talk about it all the time. It's the key to improvisation. It's the ability to not play it the same way every single time by rote. It's the ability to bring your own personality and your own magic to a song. And I promise you guys, I am going to answer Ron's question, but I want to answer it this way. The great people, the great musicians that know how to improvise, they're pouring themselves into it. They've mastered the fundamentals. They're constantly learning. They don't copy. You know, they bring their own imagination and creativity to the game. So here's the challenge for us as coaches and trainers. Somebody signs up in our business and they want to be told, here's what to do, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Here's the email to send out. Here's the button to push. Copy this, paste it there, press enter. I mean, they kind of want to live in this artificial reality where someone is going to tell them every move to make, and that they will never, if they make the moves we tell them, they'll never, ever, ever fall down and get a bruise. Everything they touch will turn to gold, and it'll just be sunshine and you know, gumdrop mountains and red licorice rivers, and it's just going to be, you know, fun in the sun and rock and roll. You know, and here's the reality. That's not real. We do show you a lot. We have a bunch of video tutorials and over-the-shoulder shots, and we give you lots of emails to send out, and all you have to do is add your name and change this and change the link, and yeah, we do a lot for you. But here's the thing. If somebody said, hey, Tony, what should I do? Should I post? Should I run ads? Should I get it? Should I do some Facebook advertising? Should I blog? Should I make a video? What's the answer? The answer is yes. Yes. If it crosses your mind as something to do that would help your business, you don't need our permission to do it. This is where your improvisational skills come in. This is where a little bit of that confidence that John talked about a minute ago, you got to believe in yourself enough so that when an idea pops in your mind that maybe I should make a video, give yourself permission to be right about your own idea. Fire up that video camera and go shoot a video. You know, and you say, well, you know, but I don't have a great video, and I don't have a nice background, and I don't have all that. None of that matters. Like, when I started here, I'll tell you straight up, I didn't have my sponsor is the owner of the company. He was so busy running the company, I didn't have a sponsor. The first time I ever spoke to my sponsor, I'd been here for 4 or 5 months, and I was already making tens of thousands of dollars a month. So I, for all intents and purposes, am an orphan. I had no sponsor. So I got all of my direction from the company calls, from the products, and from whatever ideas that popped in my head that would be something good to do. So there's a element of this business that requires you to bring your creativity and your self-reliance and the confidence in yourself. Ron, sounds like you actually already have some great ideas about what you should be doing. I would do them all to the extent of your time and energy that you have. And I promise you, something is going to click. One or more of those methods will work for you, and then all you have to do is wash, rinse, and repeat. And once you're doing that, you're off to the races, man. You got money coming in. John, what's your thoughts on that?
I love it. You know, I think a lot of times in marketing, not just online marketing or home-based business or network marketing, but in marketing in general, even people who, like you mentioned before, Tony, they do put up a lot of money in terms of startup capital, buying franchises, things like that. A lot of times people are looking for an easy button or a one-click solution, or like here's a guaranteed solution. If we just do this, can you just make it so simple for me that I could just press the button and be done with it? They look for for easy solutions to complicated problems. Okay, and I got this from Dan Kennedy. Okay, Dan Kennedy is if you don't know Dan Kennedy, everybody, he's probably the highest paid copywriter in the world in terms of writing sales campaigns and consultant. I mean, 100 grand just to show up in his office, right? So anyway, he says that that's the number one thing that he sees that stops people from really engaging and executing all these wonderful ideas that he dispenses, is that they're so addicted to a simple solution to a complicated problem. A complicated problem is getting new butts in the seats, getting new customers walking through your door for whatever your business is. Okay, that is a big issue. There's a lot of moving parts of it. There's lots of ways to tackle that thing, and it kind of drives him crazy when people say, Dan, what's the one thing?
Well,
the one thing is, right.
Hey, Joe, let me throw a question at you. Okay, so let me give you an example. We have a question here that's a perfect example for what you're describing. Okay, aside from waiting for Vic to finish conversion mastery, what would you say is the best way to convert leads to sales?
Wow. Okay, that's kind of related, right?
It's not a bad question. It's just so much big. The way the question is asked makes it sound like that there's only one simple answer that we could give you a 10-second answer and move on. It's not.
Yeah, and you know what? If we had such an answer, it would be worn out next week because we would have saturated the answer, right? So the interesting thing about the whole planet that we live on is that it's inhabited by people. You're going to be basically exchanging money, currency, with humans, right? And there's an innumerable number of variables that go along with that. So it's impossible to manage with one answer. So again, getting back to what Kennedy said, there's many different things that you could do, systems you could put together. You could fill a whiteboard with all the different possibilities of how you're going to get new customers in the door. Each one may be different. So the first thing I will say on that note, which we already talked about, is matching the message to your ideal target audience. So many people, they think, well, what we've got here appeals to such a broad audience. I mean, who doesn't want to save thousands of dollars and have a fully customizable website? I didn't even mention 100% commission, right? I mean, who doesn't want to make 100% commission? I mean, we got something really freaking good. Doesn't everybody want it? So they make the marketplace everybody. But would you rather sell 10% of the people 100% of the way, or sell 100% of the people only 10% of the way? Naturally, you'd want to make the sales, so you'd be working with a smaller group. That's not pigeonholing yourself. That's actually saying, you know, we're going to start with this target audience, and once we've learned conversions with what that customer, that language that they speak, right, now we'll go engage a new target audience. And look, we're all in the process of doing this. I'm not a pro at this. Tony's not a pro at this, right? And we've both made lots of money, but could we do it more efficiently and more effectively? I think we can. So we're students here too. I don't know if I'm getting off the point, but the point that I want to make to you here, take it like this. I've been doing some surveying lately, asking people on my list, what do you want? Okay, one of the questions is, well, what's one of the main thing that you need, the number one thing you need to succeed in online business, in your opinion? Number one answer that I got, which surprised me, is mentoring. I was thinking the number one answer would be need to learn how to get leads and traffic, right? That was the number two answer. Okay, leads and traffic. Number three was conversions. How do I convert leads into sales? But number one was mentoring. In other words, people feel like, and rightly so, they need guidance. Okay, well, that's accurate. Thank you. That's a good answer. Guess what? I need guidance. Okay, we're all getting guided here. I'm a customer with the Power Network and with Dan Kennedy stuff. I mean, I buy these courses. I mean, the bookshelf didn't just show up here, right? I'm a student. Okay, because we're all on this path together, and we're never done. We're never done. You know what? Marketing. This whole idea of expanding your reach into the online marketplace, or the offline marketplace for that matter, and increasing the demand for what you supply is such a wonderful pursuit for any thinking person, because it's mostly a pursuit of psychology, understanding what determines human behavior. For any intelligent person, this is a really cool thing to kind of get passionate about. But don't think that it's going to be like you showed up and you put your marketing hat on, and then the angels started singing or something. No, it's work,
Right.
So,
Hey, let me add this, John, too, because you mentioned coaching and mentoring, let me offer a perspective that I don't think we actually share a lot, and this may be of help to somebody tonight. Here's my thought on coaching. Most people say they want coaching. Most people say they need coaching, but the truth is they actually need to go take massive action first. And the reason I say that is because you can't coach what's not happening, right? The only person you can coach is somebody who's out there every single day taking shots consistently over and over and over. So like if somebody, I've had people that said, hey, I'll sign up with you, will you coach me? Well, you can sign up with me and I will absolutely give you a track to run on, but I'm not going to coach you until you actually do what we tell you to do and you show up and actually do the work. And it's not for lack of wanting to coach. There's nothing to coach. If I was a basketball coach, can you imagine somebody sitting on the bleachers saying, well, I need coaching? Well, what are we going to do, sit on the bleachers together and I'm just going to talk to you? No, get out there and start shooting. I want to see you shoot the ball. I want to see you shoot 500 free throws, and then I'll give you some coaching, right? Coaching is different than training. And I think a lot of people miss that distinction because most people don't, there's no lack of training. We got training running out the ears. We got the Empower Network. I mean, God, we're a training company. That's all we do is train. And then on top of that, you get all this free training from the Extreme team. So we got training. There's lots of how-to. Nobody in the 21st century can say that they have lack of information. My son taught himself to play the guitar really, really well for free by going to YouTube. Well, we live at a time where if you want to learn how to go make a souffle, you can actually make a souffle tomorrow night just by, information is everywhere. As my friend John would say, it is ubiquitous, right? So training is not, we got training. But most people don't really need coaching. What they need to do is get off their ass and actually go do some work and then show up the next day and do it again and do it again and do it again. And then after like 30 days, now we can start seeing some patterns emerge, right? So anyway, that's a little bit off topic, but this thing of so many questions do get asked in a way that implies that there's a simple 20-word answer. And wow, wouldn't that be wonderful if that's how it was? But it's not. Learning to be a highly paid marketer requires you to actually learn marketing, and it is an everyday sharpening the saw experience of learning what you don't know, putting something out there, getting a result of any kind, a result. You run an ad, it's either profitable or it's not profitable. Either way, you learn something. You either learned that something can be changed or you learned that something worked. You do it again, and you do it again, you do it again and again. I wrote an email the other day that I thought, man, this isn't even an email. This is literature. This is going to get a Pulitzer Prize. This email, they're going to give me a Nobel Prize in literature just for writing this. And I thought, of course, I'm going to send it out, and thousands of people are going to jump into my business, and I'm going to make thousands of dollars from this one email. And I sent the email, and it got a very weak response. So what am I going to do, slit my wrists? No, I'm a marketer. I'm a marketer. I don't have to decide whether to show up again or send another email tomorrow. That's what marketers do. So I get the opportunity to learn a little something about my own copy. So anyway, I don't even know what the initial question was.
That's great, Tony. What you think and what the public thinks, it doesn't necessarily match. Or I should say what you think and if the public thinks. Okay, I don't want to get snotty here. You get the point, is that this is a psychological pursuit. Marketing is a psychological pursuit.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant one. Brilliant. You know what? Once you get traction and you learn how to communicate with the target audience, you go sell whatever you want. I mean, once you get the principles, just know that, we talk about guys like Dan Kennedy or a guy like Joe Polish or Tony Rush, right? These guys, he didn't just show up here. Tony, how long have you been in home business?
20 years.
20 years.
Same thing for you. I mean, like, we could take John, and I would say this if John was not on the line. You could take John Lavenia, take his credit cards, take everything, give him a laptop, drop him out of an airplane somewhere in the world, and he would fly home first class the next day. He knows how to do that because he's a marketer. There's a skill set. It's not a mystery, guys. Like, is it a mystery that John can do well in any company that he chooses to join? Is it a mystery that if I were to leave my business today and go join, say, oh, let's pick something like Melaleuca, like some old company that's very offline, I guarantee you I could be the #1 recruiter in Melaleuca in 6 months. I guarantee I could be the #1 recruiter in that company in 6 months' time. Guaranteed. And it wouldn't be luck. It wouldn't be an accident. It's because of if you are willing to learn how to market, you can write your own ticket. It's like having your own ATM machine. And that's really what Empower Network's about. We show you how to write copy, where to advertise, what to do, how to match your message to market. John talked about that earlier. How to convert leads to sales, how to build duplication, how to build a culture that actually causes duplication and production in a team. Like, all this is what we do at Empower Network. And so it doesn't matter what you do now for a living, there's something at Empower Network that you need to learn. And the quicker you learn it, the more successful you'll be. Hey, John, if I had $200 for marketing, where's the best place to use it? He's also asked the same question, I think, several times here. I'm not ignoring you. We just had a bunch of questions. So, started with $200 in marketing, where's to use it? And then a separate question is, where's the best place to run ads? Again, kind of like the last question, there's no simple answer, but I'll let you field that, please.
$200?
Yeah.
I would say with a $200 ad budget, here's what I'm going to have to assume that the person's not all in. So I would say, here's the thing: you've got two different kinds of capital that you're going to be using. Oh, let me put it this way: there's two ways to make money: people working and money working. Okay, you've got people working. That's like you're doing the job, you're doing the labor, you're putting in the time. Okay, that's people working, and you get some leverage with that here with our compensation plan or any network marketing style compensation plan where you've got the potential for duplication and stuff like that. On the other side, you've got money working. That's like investing, where people buy stocks and all that, or they invest in companies, or they invest in their own education. They're putting a different kind of capital, not time capital. Now they're putting financial capital into something. So I'm thinking if we're limited, we know that we're necessarily limited in time, but we all are equally. But we're extra limited in terms of financial capital, then I would want to find the best use for that money as possible, which I think is what the question really is. What's the best use for this $200? So here's what I think is the best use for that $200. Knowing that whether we make sales, if we spend that on marketing, maybe we make sales, maybe we don't. But if we take that money and we put it into, let's say, the Inner Circle product, $200 is 2 months worth of the Inner Circle. Now we've just 5 times increased our ability to earn with the same amount of sales. So knowing that we're going to have to put in time because we're in a money crunch, John's going to have to walk his dog and shoot videos on his iPhone and call people up and do whatever he's got to do to get liquid here because he lost everything, right? He's got to start over. Okay, fine. So knowing that, where's the best use of the money? Positioning myself so I can make as much money as possible when the sales do come in, and they are going to come in because I already know I'm going to put in the time. So I would say don't spend it on marketing. Get positioned as high as you possibly can with the product line, because the way our product line works, in case people don't know, is that you can shortcut the whole qualification process by just having one retail sale, and your own purchase can count as that. Well, great. Well, I'm a customer here anyway. I obviously need to learn some stuff about marketing. I didn't just show up here knowing everything about marketing. My statistics prove that, right? I rose, I fell. I got to learn some stuff. So great, sell me the stuff. Here's the money, right? And then I made my first sale. 100% commission, boom, got all my money back, okay? And I didn't even spend any money to make that sale. So I'm thinking if we're talking about such small amounts of money, put it on the products, invest it in yourself. Best investment I've ever made. And I'm still doing it, Where's the best place to ad? I'm going to place an ad. I don't freaking know. I'm researching banner ads right now on different websites. I'm thinking, all right, maybe I go on this politics website. Oh, $300, I could do that. Maybe it's a winner, maybe it's a loser. I don't friggin' know. And the best marketing people and the best copywriters, the best advertising people, not the ones that work for the agencies that want the big companies to give them $1 million to design a Super Bowl ad or something. We're not talking about that. That's horseshit, okay? But that's not reality. Okay, that's people tolerating the wastage of money. I'm talking about people like you and me who damn well better make sales, okay? The right people are going to tell you, you know what? We don't know. Everything's a test. Everything's a test. So everything is scrutinized, right? No wastage of money. And I appreciate if that's the position you're in, you'll take this seriously. And I'm just telling you the best use of your money is to educate yourself. Get the products, and not only that, qualify for higher commissions. So a little bit of a long answer, Tony, but it's the only way I know how to answer that question. Do you have a better answer than that?
No, it's a perfect answer. The money, if that's the budget, it ought to be put in product, so that way you have the ability to get that money back faster. The other thing, and like you, if somebody's talking about only $200, it kind of implies that they may not be all in yet. So let's assume that that's the case. I'm always a little hesitant when somebody comes up to me at an event. They say, "Hey Tony, where do you get your leads?" I almost hate to get that question because I'm all in. I know that my lifetime customer value is really, really high. I mean, if you take the number of people that I've enrolled and divide that into the amount of money that Jessica and I have made, it's a lot of money. It's like $1,600, including pass-ups and everything. It's enormous amount of money per person. So here's why this is important. Now, we could spend a lot of time on this, and we're about 76 minutes into the call. I'm going to be brief. When somebody says, "Hey Tony, where do you advertise?" So here's the thing. I'm running a business where I could make $25 commissions, $100, $500, $1,000, and $3,000 commissions, not counting the $200 commission for Viral Blogging Academy, and then you've got, of course, things like ITF when we reopen that. So I can make money 6 and 7 different ways. The person standing in front of me saying, "Hey, where should I advertise? I want to advertise where you advertise." If they're positioned at the $25 level, it may not make sense for them to market the way I market. And I know that. So I'm standing here at the event feeling like, if I don't answer this guy's question, he's going to think I'm being selfish. He's going to think I'm trying to, I don't want to tell him where my super secret leads are coming from. When the reality is, I'm sitting here thinking, you and I are in totally different businesses. You have the potential to make $25 profits. I, on the other hand, can make a couple $1,000s in a day, $3,000, $4,000 in a day, because of how I'm positioned in the pay plan. That makes all the difference about where you can spend your money. So again, with a small amount of money like what this guy's talking about, John's answer is very, very important. I only wanted to bring the extra, that last little section. I wanted to mention that for anybody else on the line who sometimes wonders, when I ask a top earner where do they advertise, you're going to get a different answer. If you're not playing full out like I am or like John is, the answer that we give you may not be actually good business advice for you. You may not need to advertise where I'm advertising, just because you can't earn how I'm earning until you make some different decisions about your business. So anyway, good question, and thank you for your patience on us getting to that question.
And we've done webinars too, and I'm sure we'll do more, breaking down the arithmetic of the difference between, all right, we're basing our business on cost per acquisition of a new customer versus what Tony just mentioned, we're basing our business on the lifetime value of the customer. Changes the whole game. So I don't want to confuse people with all that stuff right now because we'd have to draw it out on the board and all that. Yeah. And we're already deep into the call. But great points, Tony. So I got a couple more. I want to keep going with this.
I've got like 3 more. I bet you we can do a 90-minute webinar, and that'll be cool. But I bet we got about 5 total more questions, unless some come in at the last minute. Okay. What you got left on your list?
Let's see. John says, John, thank you for supporting me, but I live in New Zealand. New Zealand! Awesome. All blacks. When was the last time you were in New Zealand, Tony?
I've never been in New Zealand. I didn't get to go. I went to Australia.
You've never been?
You and Shannon got to go to Middle Earth. I didn't get to go to Middle Earth.
Oh, man, I love New
You
Zealand.
spent
I've
like
been
a
there.
month down there, didn't you?
Auckland, I'll tell you what, when you're ever in Auckland, go to the Parnell district. They got the cool little quaint restaurants and coffee houses. They got a place, the Strawberry Alarm Clock. It's like a diner, and it's named after a band, I think. And they got this gourmet chocolate place. Anyway, I really like New Zealand. Not to mention the hobbits, my precious and all that. Anyway, John's in New Zealand. I have no knowledge of anything other than wanting to become self-sufficient. Very good. And to be able to support my family and myself financially under the guidance of integrity and honesty. That's all I ask. Okay, well, you're in the right place, John. Welcome. Welcome from New Zealand. Marite says, I just need somebody to give me a kickstart. Can you be the person? Yes. The answer is yes. Easy question. Okay. Welcome, Marite. And Edward. John, are you willing to lend me what I need financially to get started? Okay, there's a question that we get from time to time. Edward, you're probably not the only person who has that question. Sometimes people are assuming that we're just rolling around in cash over here, you see, because we're all billionaires, and why don't we just share the wealth, right? We're going to do like an Obama thing here. And, did I just make a political innuendo? Okay, so obviously I'm not a socialist, but here's the thing. I had to take ownership of my business, and I know this smacks of personal responsibility, but I want you to check this out. Tony, I know I'm going to pass the mic over to you, but this just struck a chord with me. Tony mentioned that he was an orphan when he got started here. In other words, his sponsor was not in communication with him. I, too, was an orphan when I got started here. Tony had a serious phone aversion at the time. He was rehabilitating himself from having been on the phone for years. We didn't talk. Tony and I were like brothers, but we didn't talk for months. After I got started and bought everything and made sales, including the passive sales, Tony made money. Okay, Tony made money, for a significant amount of money, from my efforts before we ever talked on the phone once I got started here. Okay, because we were both recovering from some mishaps in our past. Now, the rest of the story is, as I alluded to before, I was broke. I got started here, I was $2 million in debt. I had to sell old electronics on eBay out of my garage to get the money, to get all in and buy the friggin' product, because I was broke. And I had a 1.5-year-old little girl. Okay? I had to take ownership of that. We had a question before about who would lend us money to do this. eBay. eBay will lend you money. It's called sell your shit, right? That's it. Lighten the load. That's what I did. And so I'm not saying that's what you have to do, or Edward, or anybody else who's wondering, why doesn't these so-called rich people just, give us what we need to do it? Because in my 10-plus years, not just 10-plus years of being successful, but in addition to that, all the years that I wasn't successful prior to that, and through the dips and the peaks and the valleys, never, ever, ever have I paid for somebody's way in, and in this case we're talking about less than $50, okay? But never have I paid somebody's way in to the tune of thousands of dollars, and have they ever done anything? Ever in decades have I ever paid somebody's way in and they've done anything. I've always wrongly invested that money. Tony.
In the interest of time, I'm going to just co-sign what John said.
That's it, okay.
you know I'm dying to talk about this. I am. But you know what? The truth is, John has already answered it. It really is, your bank account is nobody else's responsibility but your own. And that's, you know what? I get that messages of personal responsibility may not be popular in today's society because everybody likes to think that somebody else owes them something. And I'm not saying that's the case with the person who asked the question. So I'm not deliberately trying to offend anybody. I'm sure I will offend somebody, but I'm not deliberately trying to. But the fact of the business is, I struggled for years. And the reason for my struggle was because I actually had this built-in idea that somebody else was supposed to come along and help me get out of what I was into. And so when I couldn't pay my bills, I thought it was the Democrats' fault, or the Republicans, or my landlord, or my negative relatives, or the economy, or gas prices, or any of that other stuff. And the truth is, none of that would change for me until one day I said, this is my life. I'm the one that's responsible for my bank account. Nobody did this to me. Nobody owes me anything. Would it have been nice to have some sugar daddy come by and say, hey, here's $1,000 to help give you a little boost? Yeah, that'd been great. But what if they don't show up? I still have to change my life, right? So, yeah, I just co-sign what John said. If you're serious about changing your life, you'll go find the money required to get started in the business that will change your life. And that's, it just is what it is. I have people that email me every week, and they are belligerent. I mean, they're not even polite like this gentleman was being polite and asking. I've had people say, Tony, if this thing works, you should pay my way in, and I'll pay you back out of my commissions. And my favorite part is when they say, and if you're not willing to do that, then this is a scam. You know what? They got me confused with a bank. The bank makes money loaning people money. I make money selling goods and services online. So the nice thing is that we can show anybody how to do the same thing. We can show anybody who's serious, how to change their life by engaging in some online commerce. What we can't do, though, is be more committed to your business than you are. So prove your commitment by saying, you know what, I'm going to go do what it takes to come up with the $50 or the $100, whatever, to get started. And once you do that, you will find we will bend over backwards to help you get everything you need in place to start making money quickly. But you don't move, we don't move. You got to move first. You move first. You take a step, we'll take 10 steps, but you got to take a step. And if you're not going to take a step, we're going to deal with people who are stepping. So, John, I've got, let's see, I've got 4 left. Let me just bullet through them real fast. With so many people in Power Network, John, does that mean that new people have to get creative to compete with other affiliates? Can you talk about saturation real quick?
Yeah, saturation is kind of a misnomer. You look at some of the most profitable and continuing to grow companies in our space, the home business network marketing space. Amway, right? I mean, is 60 years old or something, and billions and billions of dollars. People are still signing up for Amway. So saturation is kind of a misnomer. In our case, we've got 7 billion people on the planet. About half of them are online. We've signed up 300,000 customers so far, something like that. Nothing. We haven't even started yet. So as far as competing, the whole competitive mindset thing, we can go down that road a little bit, but I would just say you could sell people that I can't. Okay, I'll tell you a little funny story, just to demonstrate the point. When I was brand new, shooting videos with my iPhone while walking my dog and calling friends that I hadn't talked to in a couple of years, some of the people I would say, hey, have you heard of Empower Network? Some of them would say, oh, I saw that guy, Tony Rush. Isn't he that thing that Tony Rush is doing? I said, yeah. What do you think of that guy? Oh, I hate that bastard. He's a rotten guy. I was like, yeah, well, that's okay, because I'm here now. You can get started with me. Oh, okay, I'll get started with you. So people just, there are people that I'm sure that think I'm a bastard. They want to join Tony Rush. So everybody's got a different, different unique selling proposition or a point of differentiation. There are people that would never buy from me that would buy from you. You just got to make yourself known. Is that competition? No, I don't think it's competition. I think it's just we've got such enormous opportunity. You just need to make yourself known in the marketplace. And look, Empower Network can be a stepping off point. This isn't like the final destination in your marketing life or something, right? I sell more books of my own as an author. I sell more books now that I'm in Empower Network. Not because I'm promoting the books, because I'm learning more about getting myself out there. So there's really no competition or saturation. Anyway, there's my answer to that, Tony. I thought you'd appreciate that Tony Rush bastard guy. I would never join him, but you.
That's fantastic. I love that. That's just fantastic. Hey, by the way, I heard an interesting statistic the other day. Hasbro, apparently they bought the Milton Bradley. I don't know what anyway. Monopoly. The Monopoly board game is apparently now owned by Hasbro, I guess. They still sell over 1 million Monopoly board games a year. 1 million.
Whoa.
I don't know about you. I have like two in my house. I thought everybody owned a copy of Monopoly. It's been around like since the 1920s, and they're still selling 1 million a year. That's yeah.
Wow. I would
That
have lost the bet on that one.
yeah.
My goodness.
Saturation's a little bit of a economic myth. It's more of a theory that exists on paper more than in real life.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if, as soon as you say, like, this is the offer and this is the entirety of the offer, then yeah, I guess as a blanket statement, you could say, well, that's it. We've said all there is to be said. But as soon as we say this is the product, the service, the benefit, the unique selling proposition for bikers who live in Utah who listen to heavy metal and read philosophy, right? Now they've got a whole new market. They've never heard this message before.
No, they've never heard it.
Right.
I'm
Now,
not targeting that.
that might be a marketplace of one. That might just be me. I don't know. But but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
So, right. We haven't even started to sell this.
No, not really.
No, we haven't even started to sell
Herbalife grew. Herbalife grew by $600 million last year. That company's been around since the 40s or something, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there's millions of new consumers entering the marketplace every single year. I talked to a guy here a while back. His whole marketing campaign seems to be arranged around targeting people who are ETSing out of the military. They're coming out of active duty and they're trying to assimilate back into a civilian lifestyle. It never would have even occurred to me to target that kind of demographic.
I don't speak that way. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, that's his game. His whole squeeze page, his lead capture page, all his photographs, everything is targeted toward. Let me talk to soldiers. Somebody else is targeting homeschooling moms. You know, there's so many people out there who've never heard about what we're doing. There's my 18-year-old son. Have y'all met my 18-year-old? I want you, John. You haven't seen Will in forever. Come here, Will.
I saw Will in where were we?
Yeah, Will, dude. I want you to look at the side. Look at what we're feeding this guy. He's enormous now. He just turned 18 years old. He's taller than me. He's 6'1" now, and he's a little scooped down here. And he's got no voice because he's got allergies. But I am proud of this guy. He's awesome, and he's going to college this fall, majoring in well, going to start with the basics, but wound up majoring in theater. And this guy was one of the main reasons we decided to work at home. Yeah,
that's awesome. Hey, Will, happy birthday! And you're no longer a minor. I guess that makes you a major. And Major Will, here he is. By the way, you guys got to see pictures of Will with his King Triton abs, his painted on abs. Were those real abs or painted on?
Well, you know, they added a little bit of detail. That's all.
Just a little bit, he said.
like We Are Sparta, right?
Good night.
300. Okay, I got one last minute question that came in from Addison. We know Addison.
Addison Springer.
Yeah. For a brand new person, Tony, who's ready to get all in what order would you recommend they use the products to make the most money as fast as possible?
You know what? I'm really proud of our 15K formula. The 15K formula is the products are all fantastic, but 15K formula to me is like a cookbook. Like if I want to know how to make some jambalaya or some fettuccine alfredo or something, I can go to cookbook and I can look in there, flip. Oh look, there it is, right there. A 15K formula feels to me like that. It's like a cookbook. It's very modular and very topical. It's very efficient. It's very laid out real simply. So if you want to know how to do solo ads, you just go to the 15K formula, scroll down, find the thing on solo ads, and boom, there's clear ABC 1, 2, 3 instructions on how to do that effectively. Next day you maybe say, I need to get my open rates up. I'm sending out a lot of email, but I want to get more people opening my emails. Well, boom, you go to the 15K formula, and there's a module, 2 separate modules on that. So I would say get all the products, but the 15K is one that you will reach for every single day as a cookbook for your business. And then the others, like say the Costa Rica Intensive or the Master's Course, you can just, like if you set aside an hour every day for your personal development and education, you can just go through a module of those every day and work your way through it at your own pace. But the 15K is something you will reach for. I reach for it very often, and you'll do the same. Inner Circle, that one's easy too because you can throw that stuff on your iPod or your iPhone, and you can listen to those audios while you're in the car or while I listen to it a lot on the when I'm on the rowing machine, that sort of thing. So some of the audio stuff you can do while you're doing other stuff. The 15K is invaluable. So that's my answer. John, how do you feel about it?
I co-sign what Tony just said. I think the 15K is the most bang for the buck in terms of, like, I would see somebody getting started and buying the 15K, not being an affiliate, not doing a different business, not even participating with the Power Network, but just wanting the 15K because it's that friggin' awesome. It's long, it's huge, it's intense, but it's like every so-called secret of internet marketing answered in hours and hours and hours of content. It's mega awesome course. And of course, like you just mentioned, the Inner Circle, that's a great place for people to start. And like you said, I'm just co-signing what you said. Yeah, go hit the gym and listen to an Inner Circle audio every day. You'll be in good shape.
This is my other guy. You hadn't seen Peyton. Well, did you see Peyton? No, you weren't in Seattle.
No.
Peyton's my 16-year-old. And this hat, John, this hat right here is ubiquitous. When it comes to Pate, if you see Pate, you see this hat. I haven't actually seen the top of Pate's head in 2 years. He has worn this hat. You may shower in it. I'm not sure. Good night. I love you.
All right. Good to see you, Pate. Now we just got to get Easton on here.
Be in here for a hug and a kiss in a minute. Hey, let's see, John. What about time management? Elena Fraga mentioned the sacred hour per day, and I understand that. What about outsourcing as a method of time management? That's from John Boggin. Do you have any thoughts about time management and outsourcing? Yeah,
they're two different issues. Outsourcing is a delegation issue, and I'm not qualified to speak on that because I'm still afflicted by the, if you want it done right, you do it yourself syndrome. So I'm having a hard time with that one. So as soon as you get the answer, John, let me know. But we do outsource a good amount of stuff, things that I essentially can't do. When I can't do something, usually like a technical thing, then I get somebody else to do it. But you develop relationships with vendors. Start with small projects, and then you develop trust and credibility with that person. Oh, they know that kind of code stuff. Okay, cool. They can do your code. So that's as best I can answer for you on that. But as far as time management, here's the thing. I'm really busy, and so I find that email is one thing. People messaging me on Facebook and all this social media stuff. I have to turn all that off. And I'm very fortunate to have my office on the lowest of 3 floors. I'm in a 3-story house, and my office is on the bottom floor, and we're in the mountains of Utah. And so I've got a very spotty cell phone signal down here. And I was thinking about, for a few $100s, I can put in one of those cell phone repeaters, that you put the antenna on the roof and it has an amplifier and it beams the signal into your house. And I can get great cell phone coverage in my office. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to save myself a few $100s, and I'm not going to buy that friggin' thing. And my phone never rings. Okay? It never rings. So that's it. There you go.
You got some conclusion.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And not to mention, I have like all these extra minutes now with AT&T because I never friggin' call anybody. So in fact, I tell people the best way to reach me is on Skype because that's the truth. My phone doesn't ring down here. So, but I got great internet service. So sometimes it's just about saying, you know what? I will stop with any inflow, and I will only outflow. I will only produce at these times. Okay, and there's a great video you can watch if you go to my blog, one of my blogs, johnlavenia.net. You can search for the keyword "get more done in less time" or something like that. And there's a video in there by a guy named Dean Jackson, who's a big real estate marketing guru, and he has what's called a 50-minute focus finder exercise. Spectacular, okay, in terms of time management. So look for a post on johnlavenia.net called "Get More Done in Less Time," and I think you'll find some good food for action there. So hope that answers your question, John.
You're going to say good night to John Lavenia?
Good night.
There's Easton. Hey, buddy.
He's going to bed. He got to stay up a little late tonight. Love you. See you in the morning. Kiss. All right, John, I think I cleared all my questions, brother. I don't have anything else pending here.
That's it. We're done.
Oh, hey, by the way, on that last topic, I did hear George R.R. Martin was on Conan last night. I heard about it today. He's the author of the amazingly popular Game of Thrones Song of Fire and Ice is the actual name of the book series, but everybody knows it by Game of Thrones. Anyway, I posted about this on Facebook today. I don't know if you saw it. They asked him what equipment he uses to write the books. He says, I have two computers. I have one computer that I use for Facebook and internet and doing my taxes and all that, and I have my writing computer. His writing computer, the word processor he uses is WordStar 4.0 for MS-DOS, and he uses a DOS machine. And he said his reason for doing that was he doesn't have to worry about all the social media. He don't have something beeping at him all the time. I do this. I get in the middle of writing. I like to write on a Mac. I like to use text edit. I tend to write in text edit. But then I get a Skype notifier that pops up there. Oh, I see. Oh, there's somebody wanting to know if I can meet them for lunch, or there's email or text comes in on iMessages, and I'm constantly pulled off my writing. And so George R.R. Martin solved the problem. He has a DOS computer. He said he also likes it because it doesn't do any of that nasty spell check. He said, if I type a little letter, it wants to capitalize it. He said, I know how to run a shift key. If I want a capital letter, I would have pushed a shift key. He said, so he doesn't even like using Microsoft Word or anything modern. He said, I just
one step up from a typewriter.
Yeah, if one step, he said, I just want to be able to type without distraction. And apparently that's working for him. So maybe that might be helpful. I could crank up one of my old 386 40s out in the garage, find some old 486 33 megahertz with 2 megs of RAM, and crank up the notepad.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, though. You've got a beautiful Mac computer. Tony and I both have identical MacBook Pros.
Yeah.
And they are awesome machines. And there's a function, Tony, on the top right of the screen, and it's called Airport. And all you got to do is turn it off.
And boom.
That's it. You're isolated.
Turn it off, and you're isolated.
That's it.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? You and I both won our Macs by working this business.
Isn't that something?
We both got free Mac computers just by virtue of showing up, working our business every day, and reaping the rewards of a contest in both of our cases.
That's right. These are $3,300 machines. Results not typical, guaranteed, or you're fine. But all right, look, I had fun here tonight, Tony. Did you have fun?
I did. This was very, very laid back and casual, and it looks like we've still got quite a few people in the chat. 84 people still hanging here with us. And then I don't know how many people are watching on YouTube. We never know that until later. But this replay will be up for 7 days. And in the meantime, if you're a member of the Extreme Team, join us tomorrow morning for the Wake Up to Success call with Professor Don Silver. And, of course, if you are not yet a member of Empower Network and you like this kind of straight talk, straight, honest questions being answered, hit the yellow button down below. It's $25 to become a customer. It's $19.95 if you'd like to be an affiliate and make 100% commissions by referring others to the product. We'd love to work with you. We've got a bunch of resources and training and tutorials on all kinds of business building techniques. So if this is what you're looking for, I promise you to be a breath of fresh air no matter what business you work. We'd love to have you on the team. And, John, I will turn it over to you to close up.
I'm excited. I feel like, you know what, we're just getting started, and this was fun, you guys. I had a good time just interacting with everybody who's on our email list and people that show up here with our broadcast. Look, if there's anything that I or Tony or whoever invited you here, if there's anything we could do for you, if you take nothing else away from tonight, just know that we're real people, right? Our email addresses actually do deliver emails to real people, okay? This is a big departure from most of what you may be seeing out on the web, okay? We really are here to help and to give you what you're looking for in terms of an online business successful experience. Okay, so don't be a stranger. Okay, this is just the beginning. It's not like we're closing communication now. Let's keep these communication lines open, and feel free to get back to whoever invited you here with any other ideas or questions that you may have. And if that's me, you know how to reach me. Tony, thanks again. Everybody, thanks for participating. We'll see you here next time at the same extreme time and extreme location. John and Tony out for now. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
See you guys.